All right, scholars, Walter Bowne here. Let's go do a little rhetorical analysis of when lilacs last and the dooryard bloomed, as I promised. Here are several. There are many more. I just wanted to get to the heavy hitters. And at the end there, I have a few more for you. Of course, the things that you know well, like simile, personification, things like that, I don't need to go over with you so much as long as you recognize that they're there. The first thing let's talk about is apostrophe. It's a major part of this poem. Apostrophe is, of course, when you interrupt the discussion to address a person or a personified thing, either present or absent. Its most common purpose in prose is to vent to or give display of intense emotion, which, of course, this poem is. It's very intense. And here are some examples in literature. Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem that kills. I mean, that line from Luke, from the Bible, is very reminiscent of Whitman in this poem, where he's like, oh, books, oh, value. He's using those types of historical precedent to show the intensity of his emotion in losing Abraham Lincoln. All right. Oh, powerful western fallen star, oh, shades of night. You see, Whitman is not creating anything brand new. He's taking a lot from the Bible, which you know, that was one of his three major influences. One was operatic arias and also public speaking of the 19th century. So three of those things. But he uses it to create this great literary form. Okay. Let's go now to... All right, amplification. Amplification is when you repeat a key word and then add more to it. In order to emphasize what might be passed over, amplification allows you to call attention to it. Like the orchard, this lovely shady orchard. So you could say this lovely shady orchard is the main reason, but I want to emphasize it by adding more details to it. So you say this orchard, and then you add to it this lovely shady orchard, like my girlfriend, my beautiful, lovely girlfriend, or my wife, my lovely, gorgeous, intelligent wife. I'm really emphasizing what I want the reader, the listener, to understand. Okay, and there's tons of examples from the Bible. The Lord will also be a refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in times of trouble. It's the amplification of that idea of refuge. Pride, boundless pride, is the bane of civilization. Amplification is something that Whitman uses in his poetry. He especially uses it in Lilacs. Okay, I mourned and yet shall mourn. Oh, shades of night. Oh, moody, tearful night. Copious I break, sing there on the swamp, oh singer, so sing, sing. We have this idea of emphasis. It's like you have a nail and you keep pounding on it for emphasis. So that's amplification. It can be very, very effective in prose and in poetry. All right, let's now go to anaphora. I can get rid of that. You guys should know that. This should be easy. He uses this. This is one of his principal rhetorical devices in all of his poetry. As I walked, as I saw, as you drooped, with floods, with the fresh, passing the visions, passing. It keeps it organized. It keeps it concise, and it helps the reader follow his train of thought. Okay, so anaphora is a very effective way of using parallel structure, right? He also uses apostrophe, which is the counterpart because the same word is used at the end of a sentence or successive clauses. Let's take a look. Oh, what shall I hang on the chamber walls, and what should the pictures be on the walls? So walls there is apostrophe. Detained me, and then this one is very, very important. The living remained and suffered, the mother suffered, the comrades suffered. This is also amplification. So many of these things are balled up together. So it's not just apostrophe, it's not just this. It's a lot of rhetorical devices loaded together, bundled together, which makes his poetry so powerful and which can make your writing powerful. All right, let's talk now about Apostrophe. Okay, I don't think we've talked about this so much. He uses this quite frequently. Okay, it's a device, let me pull it down, where you detail parts, causes, effects, and consequences to make a point. And you reverse the normal word order, like he gives me whoop, he gives me kisses sweet kind of thing, right? With the fourth month eve at sundown and the gray smoke lucid and bright. We would generally say the lucid and bright smoke, but here it's reversed. The coming eve delicious, not the delicious evening. Or with the fresh sweet herbage underfoot and the pale green leaves of the trees prolific. We generally put our adjectives in front of our nouns in English. But as a poet, and you guys can do this, but I would have it sounded out. It can be really strange sometimes if you don't sound it out and say, okay, how does this sound? If it sounds great, go with it. If not, say, okay, it's not worth it. Okay, that was an Apostrophe. Let us now go to the periodic sentence. This is a big one that he uses. A periodic sentence, of course, is a sentence which has been deliberately structured to place the main point at the end. And many of his sections are all just one sentence, but they come at the end with, again, the Apostrophe with I break a thing of lilac. Let's see. All right, so here, a sprig with its flower I break. So he uses that Apostrophe there, but here in the dooryard stands blah 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 with blah blah a sprig of lilac. So the main clause there is I break a sprig of lilac. Right? The rest are dependent clauses. These are all depending on this one independent clause down here. And again, he reverses the normal subject verb predicate. Right? Rhetorical questions. You guys should know this. He uses this quite frequently. Right? It differs from hypophora in that when you use hyperphora, it's like, how should I begin? Let's begin by, so you answer the question you brought up. That's hypophora. Rhetorical question, it's pretty implied, or the answer is obvious, or he's not going to directly answer it. How shall I warble myself for the dead? Well, we know how he's going to warble. He's writing this poem. How should I deck my song? Well, we kind of know. What perfume should I be for the grave? And what? So he has a series of rhetorical questions. Oftentimes, raising 3 rhetorical questions in a row is very effective. And I think the rhetorical device for that is called Apesius. I'm not totally sure I'm pronouncing that correct. But generally things come in 3s, right? It's the Trinity. Blood, sweat, and tears. Originally, it was blood, sweat, toil, and tears. But we don't like 4s, we like 3s. We like triangles. They're very, very stable. So Winston Churchill's very famous blood, sweat, toil, and tears has been reduced to blood, toil, and tears. All right, metaphor. You guys know metaphor. It compares 2 different things by speaking of one of the terms of the other. All right, it's not like simile where it's like. A metaphor is, I have a lion's hunger, not I have a hunger like a lion. Metaphor is much stronger, all right? And here we have the Trinity, the star, the bird, and the lilac, all 3 working as metaphors for Whitman, okay? We also have antithesis, right? Not as much as we have in other poems from Whitman, but we have a clear contrasting relationship, heaven and hell, east and west, north and south, boy and girl. That's all opposites, all right? So we have sea winds blown from the east and west, blown from eastern sea and blown from western sea, or the varied and ample land, the south and the north in the light, Ohio and the flashing Missouri. So Missouri being more western, Ohio being more eastern, we have these ideas of antithesis, all right? We also have we have allusions. He doesn't say Lincoln and Civil War directly, but he alludes to them. All right, night and day journeys a coffin. Again, we have that Apostrophe, where we have the reverse of the normal word order. And we have the armies and the battle flags. He never mentions it directly, but it's, of course, the Civil War. And there's some more Apostrophe examples. A sprig with its flower I break. There in the fragrant pines and the cedars dusk and dim. And oh, comrade lustrous with silver face in the night. They're all examples of Apostrophe. He uses them quite frequently in this poem, again, to call attention to aspects that he wants you to understand. All right. And here are some other devices. Of course, alliteration he uses. He uses internal alliteration so frequently. Silent C and Lilacs last. He uses consonants with the sound of the D at the end. Dooryard bloomed and unbearded heads. Assonance, where you repeat vowel sounds within a word, like the oo sound. Dooryard bloomed. The refrain, which is common in poetry, cedars and pines. He has also other refrains. And also polysedanton with lilac and star and bird. All three of them lined up together at the end, coming together. That would not work well with lilac, star, and bird. It's lilac and star and bird. It's one of coordination and of addition rather than just a series of things. Okay? The one thing that I did not go over, I think that I might have had it up here, was the idea of cataloging. Which, I don't know why I didn't get to that. Yep. The idea of cataloging. Maybe I passed it. Where it's, he has the series of things, and he's known for that. It's just a laundry list. And it can be a series of adjectives that go on. It's just a series of lots of things. That it's like a laundry list of things that you're reading off from your ShopRite list. I need apples and grapes and bananas and lettuce. He does that quite frequently. Less so in this poem. This poem's a little bit more controlled than his Song of Myself poems, where he tends to really go on. All right, guys, thanks a lot. Bye.